Hey, you see what I got in my hand? Right here, I got an index box. And in this index box, we got a bunch of these index cards. Why I show you this today? I want to talk to you about something very important. Something that will change your life. And I'm going to explain to you what happens when you do this thing. You've heard of it before. You've probably done it. But not like this. It's called practice. Now, I'm not talking about Iverson. Practice. We're talking about practice. How many times you practice for a test? How many times you practice to play a sport or to play an activity? But let me ask you a question. How many times did you practice before you spoke to someone? How many times you practice when it comes to your finance? How many times you practice when it comes to the Word of God? We are going to take practice. Practice. Yeah, I'm talking about practice. We're going to take practice and use it in areas that we are not used to using it. Hey, stay tuned. I'm going to show you why you need to do this, and your life will forever be changed. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, and before this is done, you have to share it with at least 2 people. Share this video with at least 2 people before you even start watching. Hey. So today we're having a conversation. We're gonna talk a little bit about something that's very, very important. It's something that can help you in every area of your life. And we're gonna get right to the point. So today's discussion is about practicing objections. Practicing objections. Okay, so a lot of you guys might be like, what do you mean practice objections? Okay, a lot of times, something happens, you make a mistake, and then when you make the mistake, when the thing happens, you're like, man, okay, I'm not going to do this again. Then time goes by, then you're facing the same situation, you find yourself making the same mistake. And then we go again, we're like, I'm not going to do it. Then some time go by, we're put in the same situation, make the same mistake. And a lot of us, believe it or not, are living exactly like that. And the reason that we keep going through the same things and not passing and not doing the right thing in the situation is because we're not practicing objections. What do I mean? I'm going to give you an example. It's like today, your teacher, you in school, you learn about like the different type of rocks that exist. For those who remember, the different type of rocks. So you learn today that there's igneous rocks, sedimentary, and all those different type of rocks. But you don't study. So a week go by, 2 weeks go by, you don't study like how are the rocks formed, what are the different type of rocks, and then a month later, your teacher give you a test asking you, how do these rocks form? How long do it take to form? What are their names? And so forth and so on. Do you expect to pass? Maybe if you have a photographic memory, or maybe, if you're someone with just like an amazing memory, a supernatural memory, then maybe, yeah. But if, like most people, if you do not practice, you are not going to remember most of the things. So that's why today I wanted to talk about practicing objections, but not only practicing objections, but practicing period. A lot of times we take practice for sports and physical activity. We take practice in school, like homework and practicing our material, but we do not practice in life. What do I mean practice in life? So for example, if you're someone, when you get mad, you say harsh things, or you're someone, you often, when you speak, you don't say the kindest words. If you're not on a day-to-day basis practicing the words you should say, then when you get in a situation, how do you expect for you to say those things? Now I'm going to tell you this. Practice don't make perfect. Practice make progress. I'm going to say it again. Practice don't make perfect, but practice make progress. But perfect practice makes perfect. Before you even worry about being perfect. Before you worry about even getting things perfect and getting everything right, make progress. So all you have to do is start practicing, because practice makes progress. So I want us to take the habits we have already when it comes to school, because a lot of us, we study. Study is practicing. You're practicing the material that you've been given by a teacher. Some of us who play sports, whether football, basketball, soccer, baseball, whether you're a track athlete, you practice. Why do you practice? Because you want to get better. So it's the same thing when it comes to the things of life. You can look at every area of life, and I'm gonna go on the 4 that health, wealth, social life, and spirituality. The 4 brackets. I'm gonna give you an example in each and how you can practice different things so you can better yourself. Let's say in health. In health, a lot of people make the excuse that, man, I don't have an hour a day, I don't have 30 minutes a day to work out, to all that excuse. But even if you do 15 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, you're practicing. And I'm not just talking practicing to go play a physical sport. You're practicing working out. The more you work out, the more practice you put in your workout, the better you get. Whether it's 5 minutes a day, there's no excuses. Now, that was in the physical. That was for the health. And there's other things you can do to practice getting better health. Now, what about social life? There's this book. I think it's called like 92 Tricks to Get Anyone to Like You. They tell you different things within that book you can do to get people to like you. Now, we're talking about social now, the area of social, which is human interaction, interaction with one another. So I remember when being younger, I was an introvert. I was really to myself. So, I didn't really know how to start a conversation, how to keep a conversation, and so forth and so on. So I started watching YouTube videos and started reading books like that one, to learn on different things I can do. So it'll give tips on how to introduce yourself, remembering birthday, remembering like their name and so forth and so on. Just give a lot of tricks, like give a compliment and so forth and so on. So what I would do is I would be in my room, I would practice. And it'll tell you use the person's name because it helps you remember. So I'm like, for example, I'm to myself or in the mirror, hey, how you doing, Susan? Man, you look very nice today. I was practicing. Because as I practice, now when I get into the real situation, my mind is no longer will be just hidden in it won't just be hidden in my subconscious, but when it's time to really act, I'll have it right there in the forefront of my mind. Because a lot of times, it's not that we never heard or we don't know what to do. The problem is a lot of time, it's not in the forefront of our mind. It's not on top of our mind. It's hidden somewhere deep, deep in the back of our mind. And by the time we remember, we already messed up. That's why a lot of times you'll be in a situation, you messed up, and then after the situation, like, dang, man, I should have done that. Man, I knew what to do. Because you remember what you should have done. So a lot of times when you read books, when you go to seminars, those stuff are to help you remember. Because the more, there's a trick, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. There's a trick. The more you rehearse and practice something, the more it become, how can I say, engraved. That's the perfect word. The more you practice something, no matter what area, whether it's working out, whether it's the way you speak, whether it's talking to people, whether it's like reciting verses, that's on the spiritual aspect, whether it's you telling yourself, affirmation is another form way to practice, telling yourself, hey, I will, when I go out to eat, I will not spend this amount. I will not spend foolishly. You're practicing. You're practicing. Now you could be practicing affirmation, you could be practicing objections, but you must be practicing. We must take the habit of practice in all areas of life. But yes, so as you practice different things, now I'm going to give a little bit, and you can look into some of these things yourself. Our brain work in a way from what we know so far as human beings. Our brain, as we see something, as we repeat something, as we practice something, our brains literally makes little grooves, like an engraving. You know, like if I took a knife and I engraved on this table, that's what happened on our mind as we're practicing something. So when you're building like a habit, they tell you, you must practice it. Because as you continue to practice it, there's things, for those who don't know, look up neural pathways. Your brain sends your body, a lot of times from your stomach, believe it or not, and that's another side, will send signals. Your nervous systems, and a lot of times from your stomach, will send signals to your brain. And those signals, activate different neural pathways. Now, certain neural pathways are created. Neural pathway is, just imagine someone who's coding, and they code. Let's say there's a neural pathway that when my brain sends a signal, when my body sends a signal to my brain, it's like to move my hand like this. So there's a coding for my hand to move like this. So your brain, as you practice different things, you're creating different coding. And as you create those coding, now when you get in a given situation that you send a signal to that specific area, then it activates. Like I said, I don't want to get too complex, and I hope I explained that well enough for you to understand. But the main thing I'm trying to get you to understand, as you practice, your brain is actually registering the stuff you're practicing. It's actually taking note as you're practicing. You're actually making like I said, grooves or like small little dents into your mind every time, and that helps your mind remember. So practice. A lot of us, like I say, practice. A lot of us, and I know we talking about practice. Yeah, we're talking about practice. Yeah, we're talking about practice. Practice. I know that famous line from Iverson. He's like, seriously? Practice?
What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
We're talking about practice. Yes, we're talking about practice. But we're not just talking about any type of practice. We're not talking about practice in sports to get your game up. We're not talking about practice when it comes to studying to get your grades up. We're talking about practicing in the different areas of life. You want to better your relationship with someone, which is the social bracket. You want to work on your relationship, whether it was with a friend, whether it's in a romantic relationship, whether it's a business. Practice. Practice on how you're going to talk to them. Practice how, if they say this, practice objections to when they may say something that you may not like or something. Just practice, 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 practice. Same thing in your when it comes to wealth. Practice. Practice how you're gonna spend your money. Create a budget. Yeah. When you create a budget, practice, okay, this month I'm gonna spend $200 towards food, $200 toward maybe $150 towards gas, entertainment, I'm gonna put another $100 here, car payment. Practice, 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 practice. There's every area of your life you can practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice how you're going to move in every area of your life. If you wait for situations to happen to you without practice, most of the time you're going to fail. And just because you know the answer, that does not mean when it comes to the actual moment, you're going to do the right thing. It's just like, how many of us, before the test, we knew the answer. When we got in the test, we like, how did I get that question wrong? What? Because you didn't practice enough. Same thing with life. Practice objections. Okay, even with your money, I'm making $2,000 a month. Sometimes if you're good, you'll be after you've done budgeting. Sometimes throw a curveball in there because life will throw them curveballs. Practice the curveballs. Like I remember me sometimes, and I rebuke this, but sometimes my car out of nowhere, a flat tire or got to change the brake. So if I just budget with no curveball in there, when a curveball hit me, I'm be like, let me touch this saving. No, when you're doing your budget, practice like, dang, how about if I have a $300 a curveball hit me? How about if I have like a $400? How am I gonna do this? What am I gonna do here? What I'm gonna do here? And practice every area of your life. Health. I gave you examples in your health how you can practice working out. I give you examples in your social life. Practice how you're gonna speak to people. Practice objections of what they may say, and then come up with an answer. Practice those things. I gave you the example even in your finance. Practice different objections. Practice different things you can do or you want to do. So when those moments happen, you can even practice saying no. Like, for finance, a lot of times is if we practice saying no when we get into a certain moment, we would not fall into the trap. For example, you have a budget. Your friend want to go out to eat, $50 for that restaurant. That's not in the budget. You must sit down someday like, if my friend asks me to go out to eat, I will not go if I didn't plan for it. If I did not plan to go to the movies and spend $50, I will not go. I will not let no one make me spend more than what my budget I did not plan for. You have to practice those things, because in the moment you probably get caught up. In a moment, the plan, like, you may forget that you wanted to, like, you had a budget. So you must practice. And in your spiritual, in the bracket of spirituality, man, if we practice the word of God, I'll give you an example. I think, look, right behind me here, live in effect, I have note cards. I have different note cards that I practice. This is one. I have over hundreds of note cards that I practice. I have objections, like, I have different verses, as you guys can see, different verses that I practice them. I try to practice them as much as possible. Look, all these are verses, and some are not verses. Some are actually, let's say, questions that if someone asks me, answers to those questions, because I'm a consultant. Professionally, I'm a business and life consultant. Or for you guys that call it coach, I'm a business and life coach. I have to be on point. When somebody hit me with a question, I have to be on point, especially with the Word of God. The Word of God provides all answers. All answers. But the thing is, how many of us remember those answers? The reason why you don't remember the answers is not because you haven't been in church for 10, 15 years. You heard the Bible. Some of us have heard the Bible from the beginning to the end, from Genesis to Revelation, and maybe over 100 times. But the thing is, we're not practicing it. We're not practicing it on a daily. We're not reciting verses. We're not, okay, if I fall into this temptation, what verse can I pull up? We're not practicing objections to the thoughts that Satan may bring to our mind. Man, I'm going to stop right here. This was another discussion with the MR.NOLDS. Practice. And practice all type of things. Practice. And if you're going to even objections to things that may come at you, because life going to test you. And if you wait till the test come, you're going to fail. But if you practice before the test, you are more than sure to pass that test. because that's how our brain was created. Our brain was created for us to practice, to remember, and for certain things to stick. So this was another discussion. Hey, what is one thing you feel like you can practice to get better at? Is it in the area of social life, spirituality, finance, which is wealth, or what is it? Or is it your health? Hey, that's the power question. Comment down below, what area can you practice more, and what can you practice? Is it affirmations? Is it objections? Is it verses? Is it how you're going to speak to people? What is it? We want to know. But this was another discussion with the MR.NOLDS organization. Don't forget to like this page, like right now. I know this was fire. Like, comment the answer to the power question, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video, because you don't know who it may help. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, share this video before anything. Share this video. Share it, share it, share it. You don't know who you're going to bless. And we'll see you later.